Hey, would you stop waving that noodle around? Goodness. Besides, you shake it more than twice, you're playing with it. So what now? Hey.
Welcome to CK4RC.
Welcome back to the channel. I've got a whole mess of trucks on the workbench today. A whole slew of mini crawlers. A whole lineup of rigs. All that stuff. That's what I've got on the bench. But why? What for? Well, because one of these is new to the lineup. Now, not brand new, because I cannot justify a brand new price for what this company charges. And I'm probably going to rail on that quite a bit in this video, so buckle up. But it's new to me, and I haven't tested it or measured anything. So I wanted to see how it stacks up to some other things. Now, I'm not going to do a full-on driving comparison because I've already tested all of these rigs except for one. Ha! What do you think of that? Anyway, so the first thing with this lineup that I want to point out is one of these things is not like the others. Now, I have posted this question on many Facebook groups already and got a lot of good responses, and a lot of responses that weren't even wrong. Technically, they're all different. But the difference I was looking for was that one of these is not listed as a 24th scale vehicle. So, is it this Power Wagon that by all intents and purposes should be about like a 1/20th or a 1/18th? No, because Axial does list it as a 124. Now, it's not actually a 124 if you get into the measurements of the wheelbase and all that stuff, but the way that it is billed on the packaging, it's a 124. Deadbolt, 124. Honda, Hobby Plus CR24, 24. Some people were thrown off a little bit by the last two over here. A lot of people thought, hey, is that a WPL? It's not. A WPL is much cheaper. And it's also considerably bigger. I believe WPL, I think they come in 1/16 scale, maybe even go up to 1/14, but I'm not sure about that. If you know, drop it down below. Is WPL like their C14s or C24s? Are those 1/14 or 1/16? Drop that down below. I do have one still in the box underneath here with the curtains and everything, but I haven't gotten it out yet. Anyway, this is not a WPL. WPL is much, much cheaper and probably more capable, which is absurd. But what we're looking at here is an RC four-wheel drive Trail Finder 2 1/24 scale. So yes, this allegedly is 24 scale. And then we're looking at, so this, a lot of people thought this was one of the new FMS 24M models, but it is not. This is actually a 1/28 scale pine cone model. And so that is the difference I was looking for. One of these is not 24 scale. This one is 28 scale, if you remember from that video, whenever I did the unboxing and the performance test. This thing is a lot of fun, and a lot of people said, oh, it's not hobby grade. Well, technically it is. Technically, I can access parts and I can replace things and potentially find upgrades. Now, there's not an aftermarket available for this. It just doesn't exist. But if something breaks, I am able to replace it. And if I can get, ingenuitive enough, is that right? I could potentially make some other parts fit on there. So anyway, what we're getting at today is that we're going to break down this RC four-wheel drive Trail Finder 2, and we're going to see what it's about. So here we go. So first up, just a quick lineup. If this was a police station, I would make every one of them step forward and say, give me that handbag. But it's not. So What I did do is I lined up the rear tire on each of these trucks, so that way they are all wheelbase wise sitting the same, and you can see up front the difference in the wheelbase lengths, and it helps if I don't do this. Anyway, so you can see how this one is much, much larger. So if we're talking about a 124 scale right here, this is way closer, and it is right in line with my 118 rigs. I don't know why I'm caressing the tire with this pointer finger. Is that making you guys as uncomfortable as it is me? I'm going to stop doing that. But then you can also see how much of a difference, how far set back this guy is down here. Whoop! Just get up. There we go. And then you can see, yeah, that's quite a bit. So that is the number one comparison. Number two, let's start looking at some wheels and tires. I'm going to remove the Power Wagon from this little test because it does not have stock wheels and tires on it. Although they are the same size, they're still aftermarket. So for all intents and purposes, I'm going to stick with the other four that are all box stock wheels and tires. So looking at the deadbolt, let me get a good zero in right here on the calipers. These stock tires, we're looking at 54 millimeters on the stock deadbolt tires. So this is a 124. Everybody's in agreement with that, I believe, correct? Now the Hobby Plus CR24, I've already measured these before, but for the sake of this video, these are coming in at right at 40. Where are we at here? Right at 45. Yep, there it is. Right at 45. Goodness. So very, very small in comparison to the deadbolt. Now the RC4 Drive Trail Finder 2. There's the 45. Goodness gracious. We're going way smaller. And these are sitting right at 39. Is that a safe? Yeah. 39 is where that's sitting. So that is ridiculous. And then just for giggles, let's check out this 28 scale pine cone. It goes up or goes down to right at a 37. So you can see how big of a difference we're talking about just in tire size. Now let's look sideways. We do have 1.0 wheels on the deadbolt. Everybody knows that. We do have 1.0 wheels, because they're actually beadlock wheels. They're really simple beadlock wheels, but the CR24 does come stock with beadlock wheels. So 1.0 wheels. 0.8 wheels on the RC four-wheel drive. And then we're probably looking at, these actually look to be like 1.0s with just tiny, tiny tires on them. They're definitely bigger than the 0.8s on the RC four-wheel drive. So that is what we're looking at. So let's break this down and get a little bit more into the Trail Finder 2 and see what it brings to the table. So we'll get into the standard tag-alongs that come with the truck whenever you get it. Of course, it comes with its own battery pack. It is running a 320 milliamp 2S LiPo. It's a 1C. Oh, that is low. Good old USB charger, of course, and then the transmitter. This is hideous. You remember how much I didn't like the Charisma transmitter? This is just as bad. This is, I don't know if they're trying to go for a retro look, but this thing is just awful. It's got a real cheap looking plastic thumb wheel that it's going to be hard to stretch up there and drive one-handed. It does have a handful of options here with steering trim, throttle trim, steering reverse, throttle reverse, all that good stuff. And then you have to take the screw out. The whole side of the grip comes off, and then you've got your little battery tray here. It looks like it's going to take 4 AA batteries from the way it looks. So I'll get some of those slid in there. And then here's the truck. So like I said, this one did come used, pre-purchased, if you will. And so the guy I got it from did do a nice little dress up with this thing. He did add some scale accessories to the bed, so that stuff all looks really good. He added a driver in there. Guy might be a Blues Brother, I don't know, but he decided to have the window rolled down. That was a nice touch. He went ahead and had the stickers on there for me. And I did make a mistake in an earlier segment so far of this video. I did say these were stock tires and wheels. They're not. These are after stock. It's not what comes on the truck, but it is the same size that comes on the truck. So while I eliminated the Power Wagon for those reasons, I couldn't eliminate this because the whole video is about this one. So it is what it is. But anyway, so they're going for an unlicensed, unbranded Toyota body, of course, as you can tell from there. They call it a Marlin because they don't want to pay Toyota, which is going to lead right into my rant on the price of this thing. It's unlicensed. It is kind of a hard body, kind of, but it is unlicensed. It is super small. I don't understand. I don't understand this vehicle. I just don't. So this is not a rock crawler. Let me be clear on that. This is more of a trail truck. And so that is kind of what it's billed as. So that's fine. I get that. But when you're talking about the price of these things, and I keep talking about the price, and I haven't actually mentioned it. These things new. These range from $170 to $180 new for a very uncapable trail truck. So a lot of people say, well, it's not about the capability. They're more for scale realism. Okay, I would almost get that if we're talking about a licensed body. But there's just so many things that are wrong about this truck. It's not a licensed body. Look at the travel on the shocks. That's it. Are you serious? That's ridiculous. In the front, no better. You may notice that there's no mirror on either side because these things are so fragile. For a truck that you know is going to roll over, I don't know, maybe design it better to where the mirrors don't snap off. There is not a lot of aftermarket support for these things, and look how dainty these suspension links are. And then with the mounting of this thing, so it does help there's no body posts on there, which if you're going for scale realism, there better not be any body mounts. But it's just held on with hook and loop, which is the generic term for Velcro. Whatever, we'll get that out of the way. Here's the chassis, the frame. It's got a N30 micro motor. Something tells me that is not going to have a whole lot of juice. We've got a micro twister servo for 5 grams. 5 grams, actually that might have a decent amount of juice for just the size of this thing. It does look like some weight has been added up front here. It is servo on chassis, not servo on axle, so probably can expect some body roll whenever I steer. So yeah, nothing impressive. It does have some mounting options as far as the shocks go and the links and things like that. So you can adjust it a little bit and maybe try to dial it in, but let me get a battery in this thing and we'll give it a run. We'll see what it does. As always, I want to start with kind of the low crawl modulation test. Let me see if I can get my finger in here and get this thing turned on. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, it's got lights. How about that? Front and back. Okay. I'm not sure if it comes standard with that or if the feller I picked it up from hooked me up. Tail lights look a little dim. The headlights look all right. I don't mind that so much. They look all right. By the way, only RCs. I went with the classic red and black because I'm talking about a red Marlin, aka a red Toyota with black wheels. Also, we're only talking about RCs. Only RCs. Go to onlyrcs.com, get your stuff. Use my discount code down in the description, CK4RC. It's spelled out with capitals and lowercase. So just copy and paste, get 20% off everything. Do that. So let's see how slow this thing can go. This transmitter is awful. A little herky-jerky at low speed. Gets a little herky and jerky. And it looks like the steering trim's off just a little bit. So let me see if I can get that dialed in. That's better. Getting the herky and the jerky. That's not a terrible crawl speed for a stock RTR. That's not bad. Whoop whoop whoop. Oh, that top speed. I was expecting a little bit more punch. I don't know why. I shouldn't have. There was no need for me to expect it. There was no indication anywhere on this truck that I should expect more punch on the high end, on the top end. You know what I mean? But maybe I just, I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt. Listen, I want to see it exceed. I want to see it be great. It's just not going to happen. So, all right. So there's the crawl speed and the top speed. And I feel bad. I just feel bad. I don't even think I'm going to take this thing outside. I'm just going to put it on here. I mean, this is kind of my standard test for my 24 scales anyway. So let's see. Let's see how this goes. It does have a hitch back here that is dragging, and it's hanging up. The rear wheels can't even get like traction. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put it on the incline, and act like, does it have a drag brake? Oh, it has drag brake, but there's just no traction. Anyway, I'm going to put it like this and just pretend that it got that way on its own and see if it has any kind of power or grip. We already saw it doesn't have any grip, and I'm proving that right now. These tires are just spinning. Wasn't going to happen. It just wasn't going to happen. And so that's just, it is what it is. I am curious though. Let's just say for giggles, let's say it did get up here. Let's say it got up here on this here broken bridge. What would happen if we came to the other side of it? Listen, I gave that thing 0 throttle as soon as the front tires broke over that decline, and gravity and no traction did the rest of the work. Now it didn't flip, so I'll give it props for that, I guess. Yeah, sure. That was bad. That was real bad.
Okay, so I did decide to come outside because that test was clown shoes. That's what that test was. I'm not going to take it over to the CK4RC Proving Testing Ground competition course. That's the formal name of what I call my track, my course. I'm not going to do that because, come on, not going to happen. But it's a trail truck, and I've got some dirt, aka a yard. Let's see.
I am going to try one-handed. My grass, so it kind of needs mowed, but it's not that bad. And you can just see how small that truck is. But I am going to try this one-handed. I showed you, remember that stretch with the thumb? Goodness gracious, I don't know how this is going to go, but probably not good. But I'm just curious. Let's see how she rolls in the out of doors. Okay, it got over that rock. Honestly, that's kind of more than I expected. Oh, yep. There she is getting hung up with the smallest of obstacles. I'll tell you what, though, this thing, so it looks pretty cool running on the right terrain. It does give kind of that scale look to it. And I wasn't seeing it before now. There's no ground clearance. So trying to get it to mount an obstacle, it's hard to, my hand's starting to cramp up. And just that quick, simple little run, and I've got a casualty over here. The spring did come unmounted. Not sure what's going on there. So see if I can get that screwed back in. Hopefully it's just a quick, I don't know how that would have come undone like that, but whatever. And my final thoughts. Is it worth it? For $170 to $180? Absolutely not. It's, when you get down to this small a scale realism is really hard to come by. They didn't do themselves any favors with the way that they designed the mirrors. Those things just snap off with like one run. It's not a licensed body. It's not very capable. So you're paying for scale realism that it's hard to get. I just can't justify it. Not when you can get an SCX24 that looks just as good and performs way better. The new FMS FCX24Ms, those things look incredible and they perform way better, and the price is still lower than this thing, and the aftermarket support is way higher already, and those things are brand new on the market. This guy's already been out for a while, like way too long to not have some support. Well, it doesn't have support because it didn't catch on. It's way overpriced and it's way underperforming. Words are tricky. Anyway, listen, it's cool. I'm glad to have one. I've been wanting one for a long time because it's just a variety of truck that I can have on my shelf. Am I going to run it? Nope. But I will take some pictures of it and set up some cool scale scenes, and it'll work. But not going to be a go-to truck that I pull off the shelf. I can tell you that much right now. So 100% guaranteed. It's going to sit there. It's going to look real cool. That's about it. The only reason I got it is because I did get it at a used price, so no complaints there. The guy I got it from set it up real nice. So it is what it is. But yeah, so my recommendation, hard pass. RC four-wheel drive. The 24 scales, just no. They just don't do it. Now, do you have one of the bigger scales? How are those? Do those compare a little bit more favorably to other similarly scaled rigs? If you have one, leave me a comment below and let me know what you think. How's the aftermarket support? How's the upgradability? What's the price range on them? I'm really not familiar with their bigger scales. I know they have them. That's about it. So let me know. Before you go, hit that quadfecta, of course. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Help me grow this channel. We get to 500. I'm going to have that Pick Your Poison giveaway where, you know, I've got a handful of rigs that I will select a winner and they get to choose which one they get. So help me get to 500. We'll do that giveaway. In the meantime, keep doing RC stuff, and I'll see you next time.